Welcome everyone. This is Lessons from the Field, and this is a interview series that we've been doing with notable alumni and friends of the UIC College of Pharmacy. And today we're going to spend time with Luba Andrus, who is a graduate from our pharmacy program in 1972. She is also the founder and president of Stellar Med Group, which is a MTM and also a medical cannabis monitoring and therapy group. And we're really looking forward to hearing from Luba on her career and her experience and more recently with medical cannabis. So we'll ask Luba some questions, and obviously from those questions learn her experience over her career. And I know that that'll provide great insight for our students, alumni, and friends who may be watching this recording. So Luba, let's just start maybe with a little bit of a brief introduction into your career, what you've been doing since 1972 when you graduated from the college.
Well, thank you, Glenn. My CV is longer and longer and longer. I'm sitting like on a 4-page CV, and every time I try to cut it down, everything I've done, I feel, has been so important to this career. I graduated in 72. By 79, I was married, had 2 children, was managing a clinic, and in 79 bought my first pharmacy, Quality Prescriptions, in Chicago. So I got into the ownership, the actions. It was so rewarding, but it was a lot of work. Then things moved on. A Resurrection Hospital healthcare system bought my pharmacy 10 years later, which is the way to go. I love being an entrepreneur, and I didn't think of it that way in those days, but I thought, I came to them to expand my pharmacy, and the hospital said, hey, why don't we just buy you and your pharmacy? And I said, here's the keys, right? When the check clears, I'm on board. So I did that. 10 years later, I went into long-term care with a company called Omnicare. I was a COO of one of their organizations, did that shortly, moved on to a different organization, which was eventually acquired by Omnicare. So I was with Omnicare. Through my years there, I was director of pharmacy services, overseeing med errors and the process of a large organization. At that time, they were doing like 35,000 nursing home beds in Illinois. Omnicare took them over. Then there were 350,000 beds at that time nationally. I stayed with them shortly, 11 years, that's not too short. But in between there, that's when I went back to Loyola Law School. I was a speaker when I was a pharmacist before cannabis for many of the pharma companies. So I was a national speaker for many. I'm not going to go through them, but there are many companies. And then now, once I started learning cannabis, which was learn something every day and take away the stigma of cannabis, and we don't call it marijuana. We are medical cannabis. We're not adult use marijuana, which now has passed Illinois, but in 2013 that was our focus. So that's kind of where I was, and patient care is changing, and we had to change. And as a pharmacist, I felt that we're on the front line. This is where the patient needs to make an appointment to see a doctor, needs to make an appointment to see a nurse, walks into any drugstore, and there's at least one pharmacist there at all times. So this is where I have gone to a few universities, and that was my mission, especially owning the dispensaries and previously owning a drugstore, what that means to the patient, how the advocacy and consulting is, it's so important.
The scope of your career from community pharmacy to a little bit in the hospital with the purchase of your pharmacy, long-term care, considering opening a clinic, and then medical marijuana, really a lot of diversity and great experience. And I think certainly our students could learn a lot from that experience. So maybe next I could just ask you if you could maybe, given all of that, what within that, what kind of experiences or even interactions with people, what is giving you the most satisfaction in your career? What are some, maybe one or two of the key points where you would highlight for that?
Well, I think in putting my entire career together, you know, for all the years since I've graduated, is my commitment to patient care. And especially geriatrics, because my pharmacy was in zip code 34, which was the largest geriatric zip code, I guess, in the Chicagoland area. So I always found the passion with geriatrics.
So let's maybe just go on. I think you've talked about some of the career highlights and maybe already touched on this, but your proudest accomplishments. Is there anything else in that area you want to touch on?
Well, part of what I do, again, when I'm shifting gears, when I do speak to pharmacists, you have a fantastic career with a ton, many opportunities now in the industry. You want to go retail? Do it. It's going to be more difficult today to own a pharmacy unless you have a specialty pharmacy. But you want to go into long-term care, it's there. Hospital, of course. Cannabis is calling for you to become a cannabis consultant, an advocate. As an advocate, I have my patients and I will go into a dispensary with that patient. Marketing in pharmacy, marketing management, just think of managed care. Gene therapy, oh my God, so exciting. Biotech, pharmacists are, I don't think in my day, we didn't have all these opportunities. Pharmacogenomics, all of this is so very exciting. There's so many opportunities, but always I'm telling everyone, not because I'm in the business, but keep cannabis on your back burner, because eventually it will be on your front burner and you will have questions. Don't be afraid. As I made my changes through my life, I've learned to be disciplined. I had a clear vision, sometimes a little foggy, of where I'm going, what I'm doing. I felt that I was innovative. And, I always differentiated myself, always a little bit different from everybody. I think I spoke before that the way I moved from place to place by not overthinking, because I think a lot of us overthink and then we get scared of making that next move.
Thank you, Luba. That I think you answered a lot of questions we wanted to ask you there.
A plethora.
What you see is exciting about pharmacy and where you see pharmacy going in the future, and some great advice for our students in terms of just being open to opportunities and taking risks sometimes, and maybe not overthinking. I think maybe a lot of us, me included, sometimes do overthink and maybe are too cautious at times.
I'm going to give you one more thing.
Sure, absolutely.
That the last thing for students, get that passion out, know yourself, get yourself disciplined, and everything else
everything will follow.
Very smooth. It'll all follow. Yes.
Great advice. Well, Luba, thank you so much. It's been wonderful to spend some time talking to you. I know that those listening will get a lot out of this, and maybe even consider a career that focuses on some of the things that you've done. Thank you, Luba.
Thank you so much.